Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you all? Today I'm going to be reading to you stories from my Quran friends. So let's begin. So guys, the story I'm going to be reading to you is called Two Brothers. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. The Prophet Adam alayhi and Hawa had two sons, Habil and Qabil. Habil was humble and Qabil was arrogant. One day they made offering to Allah. Habil the shepherd took the best of his flocks and Qabil the farmer brought the best of his crops. Habil's offering was accepted but Qabil rejected. Qabil's pride was hurt because his offering was rejected and his brother's was accepted. He became jealous and angry with his brother and blamed him for his disgrace. Habil tried to set him right and said, "If your sacrifice was not accepted, there was something wrong in you. For Allah is just and accepts the sacrifice of the righteous. You're proud and have no fear of Allah." But Kabir refused to see his own mistake. Instead, he disagreed and shouted, "Now I will kill you." Abil did not want to fight and replied, "I am not going to fight you back, though I am as strong as you are. Because I fear Allah, let me warn you that you are committing a sin and for it you will suffer in hell." Habil's word had no effect on Kabir, as anger had blinded him and he couldn't see what he was right or wrong. In his pride, jealousy, and anger, he killed Habil, his brother, and thereby earned Allah's displeasure. So now I'm going to read an extract from the Quran. If anyone killed a person, except as a punishment for murder or other corruption in the land, it shall be as if he had killed humanity. And however, saved a human's life shall be looked upon as if he had saved all mankind. Now guys, pray with me. Dear Allah, protect us from pride, jealousy, and anger, and guide us to love, respect, and the whole of humanity. Ameen. Now I'm going to read another story called Zamzam. The Prophet Ibrahim alayhi had complete faith in Allah and he was always ready to fulfill his every command. He spread the message of his Allah first in Iraq, his own country, and later in Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. Allah ordered him to go with his wife Hajar and their newborn son Ismail to a place which later come to be known as Makkah. This spot was located in an arid desert. The Arabian Peninsula was an unfriendly and lonely place with few inhabitants. They reached there after a very hard journey. When the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi started to go away, leaving his wife and little Ismail fearfully, Hajar asked, "Why are you leaving us alone here? Are you leaving us here to die?" He replied, "Allah has commanded me to do this." Then Hajar was no longer afraid. She replied, "If Allah has ordered you to do so, then He will not let us die." After some time, little Ismail started crying for water. There was not a single drop of water to be found. There was neither a well nor a spring anywhere in sight. She became scared, but knew that Allah would surely help her. She ran between the hill of Safa and Marwa, hoping to find water for her son. She did not give up. To her surprise, she saw a spring gushing out from beneath a little foot of Ismail. Allah had made a spring flow where there had been none just a while ago. This spring came later to be known as Zamzam. Gradually, this spring attracted people and later a small town grew up and was called Makkah. Allah's commands are always a part of a larger divine scheme. I am going to read you an extract from the Quran. Behold, Safa and Marwa are among the symbols of Allah, so those who come on a pilgrimage should run between them. Pray with me. Dear Allah, pray with me. Dear Allah, please strengthen my faith and help me never to become discouraged by hardships. Ameen. I'm going to read to you today is called Dreams. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Due to the evil plan of Zuleika, the wife of Aziz, the Prophet Yusuf salam was disgraced and sent to prison. But Allah had His own plans. The wicked might plot, but in the end everything is used by Allah in the universal for His own good purpose. Going to the prison opened another chapter in the Prophet Yusuf's life. There were two men in the prison who were earlier royal servants. One day they asked the Prophet Yusuf salam to tell them the meaning of their strange dreams. One of them said, I see myself in a dream pressing wine. The other said, I see myself carrying bread on my head and birds are pecking at it. The Prophet Yusuf salam explained, one of you will pour wine for his king to drink. As for the other, he will hang, the birds will peck at his head. This was also an extract from the Quran that I just read to you. One day, some years later, the king of Egypt had an unusual dream. He saw seven fat cows being eaten by seven thin ones and 7 green ears of corn turning into 7 dry ones. The king's advisors were unable to understand the meaning of this dream. It was then the royal servant who was still alive remembered the Prophet Yusuf salam and came to him. The Prophet Yusuf explained that in the next 7 years Egypt would experience great prosperity, but that they would be followed by 7 years of terrible drought and famine. He also advised that in the first 7 years, whatever crops were grown should mostly be saved. The king was pleased and made him the minister of granaries. The Prophet Yusuf's wisdom helped not only Egypt but also the neighboring countries during the famine. I am going to read an extract from the Quran. Thus did we establish Yusuf in the land, and he dwelt there was he pleased. We bestow our mercy on whom we will, and shall never deny the rightness their reward. Better in the reward of the hereafter, for those who believed in Allah and keep from evil. Please pray with me. Dear Allah, help me to use my resources and intelligence for the well-being of mankind. Ameen.